Day 4. Woo! Who's ready? I'm ready. We're doing World War II. I'm so excited. I love World War II. I love learning about it. I don't know. I just feel like it's really interesting. So stay tuned, guys. Okay. This starts out with the German invasion of Poland in September 1939. Woo! So excited. Okay. 2 cups of coffee. Let's go. Okay. So Britain and France were like, nah, boy, you bugging. Like, you can't have Poland. You already have Czechoslovakia. You can't get Poland. Like, that's not how this works. But Hitler, nonetheless, pulled an Iago from friggin' Othello and went behind their backs and made a secret deal with Stalin from the Soviet Union, making a deal that the Soviet Union will not enter the war. He was looking out for himself because the Soviet Union was a threat. And so Hitler successfully invaded Poland in September 1939. And he then overran the Netherlands, Denmark, Belgium, Holland, and France. And by the 1940s, Germany controlled most of Western Europe. And this is like the whole beginning of World War I, this invasion of Poland, beginning of the war. And take a note that it was the Allied powers, which was France, Britain, the US, and Russia, versus the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. So yeah. Okay, so now that I'm sitting here and editing it, I totally said that the invasion of Poland was like the beginning of World War I, but it's World War II. The invasion of Poland is the beginning of World War II. Get that through your head because I was going too fast. I'm so sorry. World War II, beginning, the Poland invasion. Yes. Okay, we got it now? All right. Sorry about that. The Holocaust was the genocide of the Jews during World War II. Genocide is an attempt to murder an entire race of people. Hitler planned to kill every single Jewish person in Europe. Concentration camps are where the Nazis imprisoned the captured Jews. Healthy Jewish people were forced laborers and often starved and lived in bad conditions. Unhealthy, young or old Jewish people were sent to the death camps where they were brought to gas chambers and their bodies burned. 6 million people died. Basically, it was an industrialized form of murder, a factory of death. So, the rape of Nanking in 1937 is also known as the Massacre of Nanking. Nanking was the capital of China at the time, and it fell to Japanese forces. The Japanese destroyed the city, burning it, raping, mutilating, and murdering thousands of Chinese civilians. It was complete chaos, if I were to describe it. It was a mess. And you could probably synthesize it to the Holocaust as well. Although, where the Holocaust was planned and precise, this one was just utter mayhem. But I feel like if you worded it right, you could synthesize that. Now that we've passed the doom and gloom of things, as Miss Ott would say, we are up to the World War II turning points. One of the major ones was Pearl Harbor that happened on December 7th, 1941 at 8 a.m. Japan attacked American military bases at Pearl Harbor. More than 2,400 Americans were killed. The United States officially entered the war on December 11th, 1941. So the huge turning point of the attack on Pearl Harbor was the fact that it was the reason behind U.S. entry. So, because before that, they didn't want to get involved in all the stuff, but when it came to them personally, that's when they were like, we gotta fight. Also, this is a side point. Could that be a continuity? Think about it. The U.S. only got involved in World War I because Germany was sinking ships that had Americans on it. They only got involved with World War I because it affected them personally. Before that, they didn't care because it didn't have anything to do with them. But the minute they got a personal attack to them, that's when they came in. And then for World War II, they only came in to World War II when they had an attack on them, when they were personally affected. 2,400 people of Americans died. They were murdered. Is that a continuity? I'm gonna have to... Maybe. I mean, I guess in that World War I, World War II. I'm trying to think like the essay prompts, but I'm not really good. Maybe that's a continuity, but if you watch this and you listen to me, and you think it is a continuity, can you tell me? Because yeah, okay, back to what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, another turning point, literally. Okay, another turning point was the Battle of Stalingrad. It was between 1942 or I should say it was from 1942 to 1943. It was a year. So the Germans invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. However, the Germans ended up retreating in 1943 because they couldn't handle the freezing weather. Let me just, side note, they should not be part of the freaking Night Watch. Like, if this was Game of Thrones, Germans, they would not be able, that's how I remember this, because Stalingrad was basically the failure of the Germans because they couldn't stand the cold. I mean, granted, it was probably like negative whatever degrees out, probably freezing their toes and stuff. It was probably very bad, but the Soviets were used to that kind of weather. So anyway, so the Soviet Union begins to advance on Germany. It's like now the Soviet Union's getting involved in World War II. That's what you have to know. You can ignore my Game of Thrones comment. And it created an Eastern Front. That's why Stalingrad is important. The Soviet Union got involved because it was the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, and it created the Eastern Front of the war. Another turning point was the Battle of Alamein. It was between 1942 and 1943. It happened in northern Africa. It was the first battle that America participated in. So this is after Pearl Harbor. Now they're involved in World War II. And this is the first battle they were in. They won. It was American victory. And it's basically a turning point. One, because America was involved. Two, because it created an African front. It was in Africa. African Front. Battle of Alamein. The next turning point was the invasion of Italy in 1943. The Allies took control of North Africa during the Battle of Alamein. And now that they had North Africa, they had access to Italy, so that's what they did. They invaded Italy, and they started in Sicily, and they moved throughout the whole entire peninsula. This made Germany have to send troops to Italy, which kind of weakened Germany because they had to split up their forces. They can't fight in two places at the same time without splitting it up. Yes. D-Day. I'm so sorry. I can't do, what is this? I don't even know. Okay. What is it called though? I don't know what it's, the folks. Hit the folks. Is that what it, okay. D-Day. When you think of D-Day, think of that. Anyway, I have no idea why. So D-Day was the invasion of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944. The Allies made their way into Paris, and that created the Western Front. And then from France, the Allies were able to move into Germany. And at that point, Germany was scared because they were losing hardcore. And so they switched from the defensive to offensive. That's the whole turning point of D-Day. Weapons and technology of World War II included machine guns, sonar, which detects submarines, airplanes, radar, which detects airplanes, aircraft carriers, deadly bombs, armored tanks, walkie-talkies, improved submarines, and medical advancements. Strategic bombing campaign. World War II was the first conflict that actually targeted civilians, and everyone was in danger. An example of that would be the atomic bomb, basically. So, the United States dropped a bomb. A big bomb, an atomic bomb. Can I English? I really don't know. On August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima in Japan. Then again, on August 9, 1945, the U.S. dropped another atomic bomb on Nagasaki in Japan. And it pretty much ended the war. Nobody wanted to risk any more of the U.S.'s atomic bombs because of the mass destruction that they caused. Island hopping, ooh. Island hopping. So the Allies used this tactic in order to get to Japan. They were able to cut off supplies they were able to cut off supplies to Japan, forcing Japan to start a land war, which eventually cost the Americans a lot of money and a lot of American lives. But island hopping, what you need to know, it was a useful tactic to get to Japan. Hop, 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 hop. Anyway, I'm skipping around a little bit because next I'm going to talk about World War II leaders, only because I feel like we should review that before we get into all the conferences and all the people involved. So I'm going to do leaders first and then to the conferences. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It makes more sense. Okay. This is Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union. Oh my god, I can't do a Russian accent. I'm sorry, guys. Franklin D. Roosevelt, which he was the President of the United States. And Harry... Oh my god, how'd that get in there? Oops, guys, sorry. Harry S. Truman, the President of the U.S. after Roosevelt's death. The first conference of our 3 conferences is the 1943 Tehran Conference. Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin decided to open a second front against Nazi Germany. But the most important aspect of all these the conferences is that the 3 powers were there. The leader of the U.S., the leader of the U.K., and the leader of the Soviet Union. The next conference is the 1945 Yalta Conference, where Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin met at the Yalta Resort in the Soviet Union. They decided to break Germany into zones temporarily to create a new government. And the division of Germany, the Soviet Union controlled East Germany, and Great Britain, France, and the U.S. gained control of West Germany. Berlin, the capital of Germany, was divided among the 4 nations. The last conference was the 1945 Potsdam Conference, where Churchill, Truman, not Roosevelt. Roosevelt passed away. He wasn't at this conference. It was Churchill, Truman, and Stalin. And the conference basically focused on post-war Europe and all that stuff. Yeah. Woo! AP World, let's go! Okay. And finally, the Nuremberg Trials. The war officially ended on May 7th, 1945, with the surrender of Germany. Shortly after the war, it's like a tongue twister for me. I feel like every word is a tongue twister for me today. The Nuremberg Trials were held to convict important Nazi leaders for crimes against humanity. The truth about the horrors that the Nazi leaders had done came out, including forced slave labor, barbaric medical experimentation, forced starvation, and genocide. And that is it for today. We did World War II. We're getting stuff done. I love getting stuff done. And it's Friday. Gotta get down on. I was so off key. Anyway, I hope it was helpful. If you have anything to add or any questions, ask me. You'd probably have better luck asking Mr. Maui because he's like the wizard of AP World. So, kudos to him. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Have a great weekend, guys. I know I'll be studying AP World all weekend, so stay tuned for tomorrow's video.